All right, former New Jersey Governor Tom Kean on the phone with us right now, of course, the co-chair of the 9/11 Commission. I do want to get into him with that. But, Governor, this incident in New Jersey, what do you make of it?
Well, it's hard to know until we know the facts, and I don't like. It's not going to be terrible that we're not going to find out anything for a year. I mean, it may take them a year to finish the investigation, but we ought to know within weeks. We ought to know, if the engineer was all right, if he passed out, if he fell asleep, or what you have to do is ask him, I think, to find that out. And whether the brakes were applied or not, that's something we'll find out pretty soon. So I would hope there'll be information coming out in the next week or so, because there are thousands of people riding these trains every day. And we want to know. I mean, we want to know what's going on. We want to know if there's anything we should be doing to make sure we prevent anything happening on any other train.
Sir, Nancy Pelosi, the minority leader, had said yesterday that there was the delay in getting this special technology that would automatically slow a train down, and this train didn't have it. A lot of trains still don't have it, even though it's been mandated. They're going to phase it in over the next few years. But she said something else after that struck me as a bit odd, that maybe those trains shouldn't be operating until they do have it. That would obviously be a commuter nightmare. But what did you think of that?
Well, I think that would be. These trains have been operating, for good or for bad, without it for a long, long time, and we haven't had anything like this happen. So I would think we'd keep the trains operating, but as soon as we can practically get it installed, we ought to, because it's just an additional safety measure. Whether it would have prevented this or not, we'll find out. But we ought to have it installed as soon as possible.
Governor, I want to switch to 9/11 right now, and you're aware of Congress overriding this president. First time he's been overridden, a veto's been overridden on this 9/11 law that would effectively allow families to sue, in this case, Saudi Arabia for its purported role in the 9/11 attacks. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't always agree with the president, obviously, but in this case, I think he was right for a number of reasons. The first is that once we've passed a law like this, it gives people around the world the right to pass similar laws and bring American citizens into their courts and sue American citizens. And courts around the world don't always have the same system of judgment we do. And the American soldiers, American business people, American tourists, what have you, could get caught up in a way that we're not going to like. And so for that reason and a couple of other reasons, I'm sorry they did it. I have great sympathies with the families trying to blame, trying to get money and all of that. And I have great sympathy for them, but I just don't think this was the right remedy, and I think the president was right. I think we'll regret doing it.
Now, we've also heard from the Saudis. They're not too pleased with this, not surprisingly, and I'm wondering if there was any coincidence to the timing of their decision Thursday to curtail oil production. When this happened. It's a commitment to do this next month, but it's lifted the price of oil as if to send a signal, you mess with us, we'll mess with you. That is my interpretation. I just found the timing odd. What do you think?
I don't think that's right, Neil. You may be right. I don't think so, because...
Well, you're not a vindictive personality or a Sopranos character. I am. No, so I found it odd, that's all. But you don't quite buy that.
There are other things they can do. There's immense Saudi assets that are here in this country.
Right.
If they think that they're in line of being confiscated because of some court decision or taken away from in some way or other, so they can't get at them, they'll stop moving those assets out of the country, and that's going to be an economic blow for certainly some industries in some areas of the country. There are things like that they can do that if they want to be tit for tat, I think that's more of the kind of thing we'll see. Plus, which we need the Saudis in that part of the world. We haven't got a lot of friends.
Yeah, there is that.
And the Saudis have been a pretty consistent friend over the years. And finally, we investigated the Saudi government pretty darn hard because of the allegations that the Saudi government might have been involved in the financing of 9/11.
Well, there were those 28 pages in the report.
Yeah.
So there was some linkage, right?
Well, in the 28 pages, that was the first draft.
Okay.
And we hired the same staff members who went over their draft, over that thing, and then redid it. And the final decision, or final investigation, is in the 9/11 report. And our conclusion was that you could never say Absolutely, but we could find no evidence. In spite of the fact we sent those same congressional investigators over to Saudi Arabia, and they stayed there and talked to Saudi officials and investigated actually on spot. We couldn't find any involvement by Saudi government people in the 9/11 investigation, and so this is going to be a long trial as people try to see if there is some evidence, but we couldn't find any, and we said so in our report. We said there is no evidence that we can find of involvement by the Saudi government.
All right, it is out there and game on now legally and what have you. Governor, thank you for taking the time.
Hey, Neil, it's great to talk to you always.